is reeling, no concealing. Your beauty is seed stealing. Violins are singing, sunset's waiting, radiating. Your entrance is breathtaking. Why must the show go on? I can't say these lines again. Why must the show go on? Must I sing this song again?
Hello, everybody. Drew here from Four Wall. Hopefully I'm not freezing like I do every episode. But thank you for joining us for episode 29, the first episode of 2021. Maybe the year I finally get to meet Jeff, my co-host, in person. But we'll see. Until then, we'll just keep doing this virtually. And let me bring him in. Jeff.
We will. We will meet this year. I'm sure of it. And you know, we speak every day almost, so yeah, I feel like I know you very well. We will meet in person. Hi everyone. Hi Drew. You haven't frozen up. You didn't bring me in and freeze up, so we're already in 2021, like ahead of the curve.
Well, unlike everything else.
well, yeah. It's been 2 weeks. It's been 3 weeks since we've had a panel. It's been 2 weeks since we were on, and it's amazing. Nothing has happened since then at all. No big news. It actually feels like a long time, but it has not been a long time. And obviously so much has happened. Holidays, an election, a storming of the Capitol. We can spend half the show talking about so many things. Fortunately, I'm not being interviewed and we are at a news program and we have a great panel, another great panel, and we want to bring them on. But first we have a special guest.
Yep. We are joined by my boss, Four Wall CEO, Wes Bailey. Hey, Wes, how you doing?
Hey, Wes.
Good, guys. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, absolutely. No, thanks for coming on.
Well, before we get started, we want to talk about your path. When I first met you, I sat across the table from you and Luke, and you were then interviewing me for my job. And you were sales and marketing VP, and now you're CEO. So just tell us a little bit about your path.
Sure. So it actually started before then. I actually started at Four Wall when I was 18, and I was actually rolling cable in the back, like many people start in this industry, doing gigs on the side. And so I was very lucky as the company grew from 2 locations when I joined into the 13 that we are today, to touch a lot of parts of the company. I went into asset management, so was able to work in purchasing and understand the equipment process of how we buy and sell everything. And after that, I was lucky enough to move into useline.com and run all of the marketing for the website and for Four Wall as a whole. And I also worked on acquisitions along the way and banking relationships. And so I was very lucky as the company grew to be surrounded by great people and also just to learn a lot about the different facets of how we do things. So it's been an interesting journey. So I'm happy to be here.
And I will say $9.95 Mac Auras, uselighting.com. Sign out.
Good job. Good job, Drew.
Don't sell them. Keep them for us in New York. We'll use them like crazy. Wes, how has Four Wall managed this? There's been a lot since you took over. So like a lot has happened. How is Four Wall managing through the pandemic, or how is it managed? How is it managing?
Sure. Obviously, it's been the oddest year in the history of the company. As everyone, I would like to say that we're lucky, which is a weird thing to say, obviously, having just survived 2020. I know that's a relative statement. We've done our share of layoffs and furloughs like everyone else has had to do, albeit probably less than most. And you can chalk that up a lot to our private equity backing and our financial backing that we have that's very strong. We've been able to keep our teams intact in most of our locations to a large extent. And because of that, we've been able to get involved in a lot of different projects. Erik's project obviously is one you guys will talk about today, which was interesting. We did the NBA lighting bubble. We've done a number of things like that have been extremely interesting. And it's been probably the most challenging part of it has been that we had to keep the team's morale high while not being able to see them in person. We've done online bingo. We've had a lot of different things to keep people engaged and things like that. And that part's just as important as the day-to-day quoting the jobs, is really just helping everyone to stay sane through this. And I'm really proud of our managers and our teams that have jumped in and really been great leaders all over the country for the company to make sure that everyone pitched in. We've had salespeople that have been out helping to pull shows in the shop, which has been amazing to see. And so because of that, we've been able to ramp up when projects have called for it in various places. And I can't tell you how many things that we've quoted that haven't come to fruition because a state legislature hasn't let it happen or something like that. And so those challenges have been day to day for our people, and they've really done well. And I think as a management team, what we tried to do is keep the morale high, be very transparent with everyone about what we can and can't do. And thankfully, that's led to, I think, everyone having trust in where we're going as a company. And we feel very strongly that we're obviously closer to the end now than we are to the beginning of this crisis. And, you know, as we ramp back up and begin to add more jobs and add people back, that's the part that we're all looking forward to at this point. And I think we're obviously very lucky at Four Wall to be in a position where we can see that future and see it coming soon, hopefully.
So what happens next? How do we prepare for something like this happening again? Is there a way to do that so that we can all be better prepared in case we are all shut down again?
Yeah, it's obviously something I've spent a lot of time thinking about. I think the crazy part is none of us saw anything like this coming. And because all our companies and the freelancers and every part of our industry is so used to being gig to gig and show to show and just jumping all over the place, that we don't take a lot of time to think about our place in the greater economic scheme of things. And I think one of the things that we need to do as things come back is use the platform we will have as shows and events start back up again, which, to be honest, is limited right now. And I think that's something that's hurt us. And I think we need to use that platform to think about things like lobbying and things like education in a different way than we have in the past, and really come together probably across multiple disciplines, be it concert touring, be it Broadway, be it all the different places that everyone operates in, and think about how we can do better. It's sad to say, but like the logging industry, for instance, has a much better presence in Washington than we do right now. And that's something that we need to think about addressing. But I think we really need to do it when we're in a stronger position as an industry, to be honest. I think that's where we'll have more people listen to us, unfortunately or unfortunately.
I think that's very smart, and hopefully we get to that point. I mean, you're right. I mean, the restaurant industry has been bailed out far more than the entertainment industry, and that's because they have a stronger voice. Maybe because everybody eats in restaurants also, and not everyone sees live entertainment. But you know, I think if we don't really have a presence in Washington the way other industries do, so it is important.
Yeah, and I think that's what, as leaders, I think that's what we all have to do. You know, as we come out of this and we all get back to being busy again, we can't forget what this was like, it'll be very tempting to just go back to doing things the way we were doing them before and get obsessed with whatever the next show is. But I think we need to put aside some time, all of us, to try to address those things and hopefully think about it.
I agree. Could not agree with you more.
Well, thank you so much for joining us, Wes. When I'm able to come back to the office and work full time, I mean, in the office at least, I'm going to raid your Nutri-Game bar stash you got down there.
always got some healthy stuff around. So there's also alcohol in the cabinet that's not on TV. So
okay.
You can have either one. And let me just say quickly before I jump off, obviously, we're very proud of the roundtable, and obviously thankful to Jeff for jumping in as an outsider to the company. And it's been fantastic to see you guys as a marketing department, obviously Drew and Luke and everyone behind the scenes, Ariel, everyone who works diligently to make this a fun thing that everyone can look forward to on Sundays. And it's not about four wall and not about selling anything on four wall, despite the Cour comment earlier. But we've been very proud to see that we've created a forum, and I think there's been a lot of great and interesting conversations that have taken place, and I look forward to you guys continuing it, obviously. So
thank you, Wes. It's been a pleasure. Thank you for allowing us to do it.
Yeah, and I'll just say Al Riddell's been a big help too. So shout out to Four Wall Al.
Absolutely.
Cool. All right, Wes. Well, thank you so much, and
thank you, Wes.
Appreciate it.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Have a great night. Thank you.
Awesome.
Drew, I think it's time.
Yep, let's get started. Our first guest, who's been on 2 shows, one as a panelist and one for our drunken Christmas party one, Cory Pattak, lighting designer. Hey, Cory. Oops.
Hi, Cory.
Hi, everyone. How you doing?
Nice to see you.
Next is lighting designer Isabella Bird. Hey, Isabella.
Hi. Hello. Hey, everybody.
Hello, Isabella.
Yep,
Hi.
Next is lighting designer and lighting director at Seattle Rep, Robert J. Aguilar. Hello, Robert.
Hi, guys.
Hi, Robert.
And last and certainly not least, co-founder at Cour Design and Cour Content CEO and creative director at EAMOTION, Erik Anderson. Hey, Erik.
Hello.
Hey, guys. How you doing? Welcome. Thank you so much for joining us. We're going to dive right in. So we're actually going to start with something a little new. So while there are people working, so many of us have for the most part been separated from what we're very passionate about and what we love. So we're going to start by talking about why we do it. And I think let's start with Erik. Erik, is that okay? You're up first.
Yeah.
Erik, can you tell us what ignited your passion for what you do? What was the first spark? Where did it start for you?
Yeah. So I've kind of always been into problem solving in various ways, and that's led me into a variety of different things. But I also just loved live music, and so I started by thinking I was going to be a musician and played music for a while, and then I got into touring because of that, and I actually preferred the managing and tour managing side of things, kind of all the problem solving that came with putting together a tour, more than I liked being on stage. And then through that, I started to see all the elements of the production that you could be involved in that were also basically touring is one giant problem that's ready to be solved. And I felt like that's where design started for me.
Absolutely. Great. And welcome. And where do you generally work? Sorry, I'm going to just follow up.
So based out of Nashville,
yeah.
Clients are kind of all over the place, though. Most of our clients are LA based.
Got it. Robert, how about you?
So I kind of started in high school. I had a really kind of wonderful high school teacher, and really I think mentorship has kind of always been the kind of key for me. Mm-hmm. Like I've had good mentors coming up in the industry, but in high school it's kind of where it started, and it was an elective that I took. I was going to be an immunologist was the plan for a really long time. And then I took this theater elective that was all about like backstage stuff and technical theater and lighting and props and all this stuff. And it was so much fun that I just kept doing it. And then it very quickly like derailed all of my plans.
And that was in high school?
That was in high school.
In high school,
yeah.
Wow. That's great that you have an elective like that.
Yeah. It was great. It was like a good program.
And you're in Seattle.
And I'm in Seattle, yeah.
You're based in Seattle.
Based in Seattle, yeah.
How long have you been at Seattle Rep?
I've been at Seattle Rep I was just thinking about this, since 2007 is when I joined the staff, but I was an intern there in 2004. So I've kind of been there for
It's home.
It's home.
Cool. Cory, how about you?
I was a theater kid from a really, really young age. I had wonderfully supportive parents, and they started taking me to see kids theater, children's theater. And I quickly got into taking theater classes, acting, singing, dancing, all of that. And I just sort of fell in love with theater. And I kind of was a performer on stage until college, and that's what I thought maybe I was going to do. But then I transitioned into lighting. I remember I was about 8 years old, like 91-ish. I had some family in the West End, and I saw a production of Return to the Forbidden Planet, which was this amazing show that played in the West End, which was like this rock and roll sci-fi thing that had crazy lights and special effects and amazing costumes, and all the performers played the instruments, and I just loved everything about it. And I didn't know which of those 18 different things I wanted to do, but I loved all of it. And so I ended up studying lighting in college and said goodbye to the onstage work, thankfully, and have been doing that ever since.
Cool. Since you're one of only a few people, I think just Ken Billington and Jane Cox, who've been on the show more than once, we're going to have you back on again to sing and dance for us. How about that? Okay.
Deal. Only if
Isabella,
Billington does it too.
great. You guys can do a kick line. Isabella, how about you?
I can support some background dancing in that adventure. Just in my dance experience, I trained in dance for a really long time, which sort of, I think, like hinged open the world for me. I never actually had expectations of performing long game, but I had tons of exposure to the arts when I was really young, which was very lucky. And I was lighting shows in high school too. I went to performing arts high school, and so I scratched the itch really early, and it's still going at this point. But my mom found a journal for a while back, and it was like second grade, and it was like, today at class we went and saw a play, and the play was bad, but the lighting was awesome. So it's like sort of mortifying that has always been true, apparently. But just hooked early. Yeah.
Now it's like the play was fine, but the lighting was just abysmal. Yeah. Exactly. And then you start judging at a certain point. Robert, what do you love about lighting design?
I really like kind of collaborative art making, and like that's what we get to do in theater. So part of it, like for me, a big part of that is just that collaboration, and that it's not just my idea, it's like the idea of a group and some consensus we come to. Lighting wise, I really love how like mutable lighting is, and how much control we have over everything. And like, we can just change our minds and like, change the texture, the color, everything about a show, within a few minutes, in a way that none of the other design fields are, other than sound, can be kind of as responsive, I think, in video, I guess, but they always have to render shit. So for me, it's like that kind of mutability and control, and that we get to like tell these stories, this thing that feels ephemeral to everybody but has such a huge impact.
It's a great answer. The end. Erik, how about you?
So first of all, I have to say I think the only person on this panel that is not qualified to even turn on a lighting console. So I've never programmed. I've never honestly had the patience to like do the technical side of things. But that's what I really like about lighting, because for me, lighting is so much more of it's an emotion in so many ways too. I think it's really interesting that it's about providing a feeling to a live experience. And I think that I love how you can take something that is visual and disguise it in a feeling, and I feel like that's what I love about it. You don't notice when people at a show don't notice that it was the lighting that made them get goosebumps, but that that's what it was,
Yeah, sure. Yeah,
what it is.
Yeah. Isabella, how about you?
Yeah, strong agree, Erik. I love how transformational, there's the word, our work can be. It can like be super sneaky and visceral and like loud and splashy, just like with the change of like one button. So I'm not usually pushing the button, I'm telling someone to, but I love just how immediately we can transform the world. And for me, I think surprise is such an important part of what we do. And I really try and just like keep that word close when I'm working. I love that what we do is super social, and it's so nice to have that collaborative spirit. And what I miss really right now too is that we all used to get together in a new middle space and like bring our values and our curiosities and our histories and everything, and like in that new middle space a whole new world was imagined. And I love that coming together, and desperately miss it, because now I'm just like making silly shadows alone in my apartment, like it's not the same.
It's not, but fun, maybe fun. I don't know.
Different sort of fun.
Different sort of fun. I didn't intend for this to be like the lighting appreciation section, but I love that that's what it is, because everything you're saying makes me just want to go out and do it. Cory, how about you?
So of those like 18 things I wanted to do when I was a kid, like the 19th thing was like be a professional magician, which thankfully I grew out of. But
You
I
and
still,
Bill Fisher, right? You know that, right?
Yeah, I don't think he grew out of his though, but
No, he didn't.
he still does like coin tricks on 10-minute breaks. But I still love magic and I still love illusion as a fan and as like a historian of the craft. And there's a ton of lighting designers who also started in magic if you start asking around, and it makes complete sense to me because what we do is magic to a lot of people. And I love creating those moments on stage, and they're like the thing that we all work for, are those like moments where every department is just firing on all cylinders, and you just create these incredible moments where the lighting perfectly aligns with the orchestration, and right when the drop lands and then the thing comes on behind the scrim, and it's just like, as an audience member, even when you know how it works, it just looks like magic, and it becomes an out-of-body experience, and it just allows you to feel that same thing that we felt once, like seeing a magic show, but it's sort of a different form. And so I'm always chasing those moments of just like you're smart enough to understand like what's happening, but your eyes can't really conceive of it, and it just looks like magic on stage, and those are the moments I love.
Awesome. Well, speaking of inspiration, Cory, where and how do you gain inspiration?
I'm going to give an answer that's not the one I'm supposed to give, but it's the truth, so I'm going to give it anyway.
That's a good one. That's the right answer.
Which is that I get inspiration from like seeing other lighting designers work, and I know everyone talks about like paintings and movies and poems, and like I get some of that too, but like I'm not going to lie, like the greatest inspiration I have is seeing amazing lighting designers doing work and wanting to emulate that or do that. Like seeing Isabella's work in Heroes of the Fourth Turning, which was an amazingly lit production in a way that I could never do. Like that was inspiring. Or seeing anything that Polly Constable lights. I remember I went back to see The Visit twice because I thought what Jaffe had done was out of this world. And I love going to see shows like right before I go do a show, because I get the urge to want to do it. And then I'm like, oh wait, I can do it. On Monday, I'm doing it. And so I get really excited, and I see new ideas, and I see things I want to try, and I see bad lighting, and I go, don't ever do that. And I just love seeing what other lighting designers do and learning from that.
Awesome. And Erik, what about you?
I'm glad I went after Cory on that, because I'm the complete opposite.
That's good.
I honestly, I have to stay away from looking at other people's work completely, because I will look at it and go, oh man, I'm super bummed out. Everybody's really, really good at this. It's something that like every time I look at it, I'm just like, oh man, that's not where my head was at all. I really need to find some like inspiration in something that's tangential. I listen to podcasts a lot. I like to read random books about architecture and stuff like that. That's like, that stuff is really fun because it makes me feel like I'll have this new idea, which I know none of it's ever like unique to me. And then it's great to have a business partner my business partner, Gordon, who's very in tune with everything that's going on. And I'll be like, hey, check out this idea. And he's like, didn't you see somebody just did that like 2 years ago? I'm like, okay, it's good I didn't see that, because I was really excited about it. So, yeah.
Awesome. And Robert?
Kind of, I think a little bit everywhere. Like I love being out in, I live in the Pacific Northwest, where like nature is just kind of all around us. And so we get a lot of that kind of natural beauty and like really crazy sunsets and that kind of stuff. So that's always really nice. I visit museums, anytime I'm traveling or anytime I'm traveling for work on the day off, I try and hit up a museum and kind of just see what's going on locally. But like when the muses won't show up to like help out, then I like turn to Nan Golden or Cindy Sherman, those kind of photographers to really like look for inspiration and kind of ideas there.
Awesome. And Isabella, as an amateur lighting person, I will say I think your lighting's really good.
Thanks.
You mean right now?
Yeah, right now.
Actually, it's true. I was going to say that also. You look. I think you win like best guest lighting.
I was going to say, yeah. The island is just like perfect. So.
Thanks.
Thanks. So tell me, where do you look for inspiration?
Yeah, I mean, a little. I relate to what everyone else has said, but I would also say, like, I mean, maybe tapping into what Robert said is like there is. I tap into nature a lot. I have a really big like observational practice of both photographing and recording light in nature or in the city. And I sort of like to smush that up against a lot of museum going and seeing other shows and listening to music and all that jazz. It all kind of collides into one research experience. But I feel like, particularly in COVID too, I've had even more time just to like look at my space around me and see how the light's passing. And I can nerd out about that pretty hard for a long time.
Cool. Well, let's stick with you, Isabella, because I think you've answered this already. What do you miss most about live entertainment being shut down?
Oh yeah, I miss my friends. I miss them a lot. And I miss sitting in the dark with everybody. Like it's like maybe too sentimental of an answer, but
no such thing.
I really miss like that magical moment when we all like begin together. We all like show up and we don't know what's about to happen, whether that's like the magic of the first blackout or, blackouts to start shows are passé now. I don't know, like we don't know what that mystery is. And it's, I really, really miss that. And I mean, my work often strays dark, I think some folks would argue. And so I feel like something magical happens in the darkness and I really miss it.
Cory, do you say that you like Isabella's work because no one lets you do dark lighting?
Well, first off, I like it because I'm so bad at it. Because like it's almost like we work in different industries. Like I see a show of Isabella's and I go like, I wouldn't know where to begin to do that, and like so I can actually like divorce myself and actually be a real audience member. Whereas if I see like a show like I do, I'm like critiquing it. But when I see Isabella, it's just magic. And I don't understand where the light is coming from and how everyone is lit and how they're not lit. And I'm okay with that. Like it's incredible to me. And
I feel like it is a funny little like success moment when like your friends who do what you do don't know where that light's coming from.
It sure
it's
is.
really nerdy, like
right. I went.
Yeah.
And Cory, you do in contrast some big splashy musicals all over the place. So
I do, and maybe Isabella would watch that and be like, I don't know, but like she probably could do that amazing too. But I love seeing people's work that's super different than anything I do.
Yeah. I'll get your critique of my work later. What do you miss, Cory, about
I miss I'm usually the guy that like works through dinner and someone has to like drag me out of the theater. But when they do drag me out of the theater and like a lot of the creative team or a good portion of the team like goes to dinner and it's like me and the director and the set designer and the assistant director and the choreographer, and we just like, and maybe we're in a warm place and we sit outside and there's like water and we just like have dinner for 2 hours together and shit talk the cast or no, we don't do that. But like, I miss that. I miss that. Like, I mean, I miss all the lighting stuff too, but I miss just like dying laughing with like my friends at dinner talking about that funny thing that happened or the actor that is a light suck and can never find their mark. And like, I just miss those conversations and eating good food and then being too full to go back for the second half of the day.
To all the actors that are watching, and there's at least one that is true.
But the one that's watching, you're not a light suck. You're great.
Yes, you are great.
I don't know who it is.
Robert, how about you?
Well, kind of a combination of what both of them just said. I miss my friends a lot. Like, it's, that's kind of, it's the hours we keep, like that becomes our social life as well. So I miss that a lot. And I miss, a 2.5 hour dinner before a first preview. Like actually miss first previews, really like that first audience a lot.
It's my least favorite and most favorite moment.
Absolutely. It's like where you get to learn everything. Like you're like, oh fuck, did it actually work?
Yeah.
So that I miss that moment.
Yeah. Erik, how about you?
I think I miss audiences. I miss a lot of people reacting to something at the same time. That's like something that will always, no matter what, if a whole bunch of people reacting to something simultaneously, I'll start tearing up immediately. That's always how it works. It's just like seeing people collectively have the same response. And that's a weird thing. And it's one of the things that's been so missing is even as we've been able to do some random projects, we've been doing streaming stuff and all that and everything. It's like, even when you do get some of the things back, like some of our colleagues and getting our employees working on stuff again has been great. But without the audience there to see that reaction, it feels like it's felt empty without that, you know?
Drew, this might be my favorite. I hope people are enjoying this. You guys are my favorite so far that we've done. Number 29. You guys are my.
Who says that to all of them?
I don't say that to all of them. Sometimes, like Drew, we get off and I'm like, what the hell was that? No, you guys are great.
Well, yeah, we're starting 2021 off with in a good thing. So next we're going to kind of go about, we're going to talk about your path, but Cory, I'm going to start with you, but you're not even going to answer because we're just going to do it in visual form and talk about your career path here.
Well, this is very early in my career when I had no friends. I don't know if I didn't have friends because this, or I did this because I didn't have any friends. My mother doesn't like when I say that I didn't have friends. I had friends, I just had no social life, and instead I was in my basement building miniature models of the Lion King. And to be fair, these got me into college because I had never done lighting design before, so I had to show something. So I showed these like models of like lights and things moving and Legos moving across, and it got me a degree. So also I posted like their full videos on my Instagram of what those things were, but that was early on. Am I supposed to keep going, or is that it? Is that the path?
Well, that's a great path. Did you go to college?
Yeah.
I did clown school. No, I that got me into Syracuse University. I got a BFA in theater, design technical theater at Syracuse, and then fairly soon after, I moved to New York, and my very first job was with Center Square Jeff Croyder programming. Yeah, like 2 days after.
Was that
a NIMH show? Yeah, I programmed for you on an express console at New World Stages. And somehow you didn't scare me out of the business, and then we did some off-Broadway shows together that year. Very quickly, we started doing some off-Broadway things, and then less than a year later, I started working for Ken Billington in his office.
That's right.
And I was a studio assistant for Ken, and I started learning about the biz and meeting shop reps and meeting other designers. And then that led to me joining the union, which led to doing a Broadway show, and then doing more Broadway shows. And then Jeff, we did a bunch of Broadway shows. And then about 6 years, I stopped assisting after doing it for almost a decade. And then it's been about 6 years of just straight design.
Awesome. And Erik, I'm sure your path is totally different than those of Robert, Isabella, and Cory. So tell us a little bit about how you kind of got started.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely accidentally fell into it in a lot of ways. Like I said, a lot of the design for me was like solutions design. That was where I kind of fell into it. But I mean, I went to school for music business actually, and with a full plan on, I was super interested in intellectual property law, and that was my plan. I took the LSATs. I was going to go to law school, and it actually. What happened was it was right in 2008 with like the financial crash, and a lot of people were like decided to stay in school longer. And I went back. I'm from Lexington, Kentucky, and I went back home and saw a bunch of people I went to high school with that I'd never really stayed in close contact with, and they were all going to law school. And I was like, I'm going to be there with all you assholes. There was just the thing that everybody was doing, and I just said I don't want to do this. So I just last minute decided not to do it, and I jumped on a tour instead and went out and tour managed for some friends of mine, and they were opening up for Mumford & Sons, and that was like the first thing that I like on their first big tour, and I kind of got thrown into it that way, and then I just got sucked into touring.
So what was the jump because I remember I wrote a story when when Cour Design did Mr. Wives. You went from Mr. Wives, and then like a couple years after that, now you're doing like Casey Musgraves, Billie Eilish. Like how do you make that? How does that leap happen?
I mean, it's like it does everywhere in the entertainment industry, which is just if you do a good job on everything you're working on, at some point people are going to ask you back, and you might not work with the same clients over and over again. You just end up getting another gig from that, and that turns into something else. And for us, from the very beginning, we started the company based on really building the first rigs that were lighting that was without a lighting operator. We were triggering everything using MIDI and programming in like the most insane, silly ways. But we were just trying to solve a problem, which the problem was for artists touring at a certain level, when you want to add production, it's very cost prohibitive. You need people, and you need a lot of like, you know, it's just that jump is huge, you know? And we were trying to design rigs that were focused on what if we can make this super reliable and really high efficiency. We were using lots of just like high efficiency things where this whole rig runs on 3 circuits, easy. Okay. You can plug into a club. So
awesome.
Cool.
And Robert, what was your path? Did you study lighting? Did you go to college?
Yeah, so kind of from like high school, a little bit of stuff there, like I talked about earlier, and then I went to the University of Washington, where they have a graduate program. They don't have an undergraduate program in lighting, but Geoff Korf, who took over the program while I was there, let me into a bunch of graduate courses. So I kind of got like cobbled together a lighting program for myself, which was good. And then from there, I did an internship at Seattle Rep. So it was like in 2004. Then went and like just started freelancing and like joined a small theater company called Washington Ensemble Theater. And then in 2007 got hired at the Rep as a lighting associate. And I've been there ever since. And then that job, you know, our production manager, Elizabeth Farwell, is very committed to like me being a designer. And so she gives me a lot of flexibility in that job, which has always been really fantastic.
Always nice.
Really lovely. Yeah. So, and I've been with the Rep ever since. Just kind of working.
Yeah. And Isabella?
Yeah, I mean, I got really lucky having some really great teachers in high school at this performing arts high school in Houston. And then through that was like, oh, I want to go to conservatory. So I did study lighting and theater design in school at the College Conservatory of Music, CCM in Cincinnati. And like one summer I did an internship at the Alley Theater in Houston and got to assist during that time. And then through that connection ended up at Williamstown, God help me, Williamstown Theater Festival, which is a complicated place that I think there's like you could say a mafia of lighting humans that came out of that space. And it sort of like runs on crazy adrenaline. And like you're like, wow, we put up these crazy huge shows in a fraction of energy and no pennies. So that space, and then also working at the Spoleto Festival in Charleston, those 2 spots kind of gave me enough connections and confidence to like say I'm moving to New York City.
Great.
Which was great. And then I used New York City as my grad school. I was like, I decided not to go that route, and everyone who I was working for was like, you don't need it, it's cool. So
you only need it if you need it.
Yeah, and all the folks that I was assisting at the time were like really into new work development, and so through them and that exposure, I was like, this is what I want to do. So I, after assisting and associating for about 10 years, I got a few co-design credits with those folks, and then got really lucky, and my first off-Broadway show got a lot of attention, and my whole career pivoted.
Yeah, it's amazing how that can happen. It just sort of happens that way.
Yeah.
Well, it's great.
Yeah.
And you know, we had it's talking about Williamstown and Spoleto internships. We had the lighting supervisors of Spoleto and Williamstown on here together, and to answer for internships, which, you know, it's at this point I think everyone feels like it's reprehensible, but you know, Williamstown wouldn't exist without it. So we'll see what happens next, I guess. Mm-hmm.
Well, yes, we will. Yes, we will. Those are particularly great humans that you guys had on. So.
Yeah, they are. They're both great. All right. Robert, we're going to go to you next. All right. So a little explanation about this next question. Many episodes ago, we asked designers to describe their style. And as those words left my mouth, I realized I was breaking my own rule about the show by never asking a question that I didn't want to answer myself. So I'm going to rephrase this question. Please describe your approach to design, or the way you ideally like to work, or your design philosophy, or your style.
So for me, you know, everything begins and ends with the story we're telling, right? Like design has to be responsive to the storytelling and to the thing we're trying to present. And like, otherwise it just doesn't make sense. Like if it is not responsive and then like it doesn't hit right, and you can tell, like in the audience, they can tell even though they don't even know what it is that they're feeling, but they can feel it. So, but when it does hit right, like when everything syncs up, when it's like, that's when we get these moments of excitement and like these moments of revelation, that lighting can give us. But it's for me, it's really like always like coming back to the story and making sure we're telling the story we're wanting to tell. Like maybe something looks really, really beautiful and, you're really in love with the idea, but it just doesn't work. And you got to be willing to throw that out and like go with the path of the thing that actually makes sense in the story that we're telling.
That's
the
hard part.
Philosophy.
Isabella, how about you?
Yeah, I'm a real nerd for design dramaturgy. Like I love research and like really hooking into the play, whatever, the work as early as possible. So both research and like being looped into imagining that world with the team early is like super key to the way I move forward. I visit a lot of rehearsal, or I'd like to when I can. I sort of tried to prioritize that in my scheduling of work, and I completely see a huge difference in the quality of work when I can.
When you know it.
Yeah, it's crazy. But I definitely like through that make big compositional and rhythm and directional choices through all that, and it changes the way I make a light plot. And I feel like a light plot is like a highly tuned treasure box that that like sits around the work, and it can be both like super adaptable and support the thing. So I feel like tapping into all that stuff, and then like architecture and shadow play and simultaneous color contrast, all that jazz is like super exciting to me.
Cool.
Yeah, that's that.
That's true. That's enough. Cory, how about you?
Well, I'll answer the style question because I think we're all selling a product, and that product is us and our lighting design. And I think you have to be self-aware to a certain extent of what the product is that you're selling. So I think I do have a style, and there's that old adage that like the best lighting is lighting that you don't notice. I've never subscribed to that, and I think the people who do subscribe to that don't call me for silly. And I'm totally okay with that because I'm not good at that. But what I do is like I think a lot of really bold stuff, really strong colors, strong choices, strong angles, strong cueing, whatever it is. It definitely is not an element that recedes into the background. It's probably why I do primarily musicals, because they lend themselves to a more heavy-handed style of cueing. I'm the kind of designer that sort of goes too far and will say to a director, like, pull me back if this is too saturated or the cueing is too heavy or whatever. But and I also have a really strong music background. I've been a drummer most of my life and a composer and a writer. And so I get really, really tapped in with the music, and I have deep conversations with the music director about what is the percussion doing in bar 4 of this, and let's do a lighting thing there to go with it. And so it's really about supporting all of that stuff with big, strong choices, because I just think that's more fun and exciting, and that's the kind of work I like to see, and so that's the work I like to make.
Great.
Do we just say each other's style now? Oh, sorry.
You want? Oh, sure. Yeah. Later. Well, we'll come back for the next party show, and that'll be this group's question.
Also, I will say my style is probably a lot influenced by your style, Jeff, and you say you don't know what your style is, but having sat in a theater with you for so many years, I'm sure some of that rubbed off on me as well. You like big, bold choices. And so I do think our style often comes from, Isabella, you work with Tyler for a while, and like I see a lot of similarities between your work and Tyler's work. So I think through osmosis, we develop a style based on the people who we sit in rooms with as well.
It sort of depends who you work with too. I mean, I know there are directors that I work with that you don't want the bold. So I feel like I'm adapted, but this isn't about me. Erik, how about you?
It's so crazy. I love hearing everyone else's perspective on this, because I think especially the theater world is so different from what I'm used to working in. Specifically because when I have to think about a lot of my approach and my style with it, I really have to try and find the narrative, because there's often not one obviously are inherently there. There's not a story that's obviously there usually when an artist comes to us, even if they've got some degree of creative direction already put together. A huge part of what I like to do is come up with this, like, what is this loose narrative thread we're going to tie through the show visually, because there's often not an obvious story, you know? So I feel like that's something I'm really interested in, and I will spend a lot of time on that. And that is actually the really exciting part of the beginning of like the ideation process with the artist and putting that together with the video team and everything. And then you go to rehearsals and the artist changes up the entire set list and everything. And you're like, okay, well, there's a loose thread that was there at some point and nobody's going to notice it except for me, but that's fine. So, yeah.
But they're going to feel it.
Yeah, that's right. So we have had associate designers on the show before. We're planning another associate design panel. There are people watching or who might watch this who would like to become assistants and associates. How do you find them? Where do you look for associates? What do you do when you're hiring? And how do you use an assistant? Those are a lot of questions that I've asked all at once, and we're going to answer this really fast because, of course, we're running band schedule. Cory, we're going to start with you.
I like designers who have personality and assistants who have personality, who I want to be in a room with for 12 hours. I'm fairly self-sufficient. I can draft a light plot. I've been known to program. I've been known to call follow spots. I can do sort of most of the things that they do, but I need someone that's going to be my friend and hang out with me and make me laugh, or I can bounce ideas off of them, or will go solve problems without me, who's not shy, who's not meek, who's social, personable, fun to be around. Those are the people I want to spend my day with, 12 hours a day.
Well said. Erik.
I really like bringing in people who are going to think about something completely different from the way I am. In fact, most of the time we'll be working with someone and they'll throw out a bunch of ideas and I will hate them so much. I'll hate the ideas. And then I know that those are going to be the ideas that I am the most attached to later, because they're the thing. It's like I had this first visceral reaction of, I don't like this because it's not the way my brain thinks about it. And then when you see it again later and you're like, oh, I actually really like it now. It's like Tom Waits. It's like listening to Tom Waits.
You hear that, everyone who wants to resist Erik?
Yeah.
Listen to Tom Waits. It's like listening to Tom Waits. It's true. Isabella, how do you hire an assistant? What do you look for in assistants?
Yeah, I mean, I do like assistants who can contribute to the creative conversation. I think that pairs exactly with like being able to read the room, like both being able to be respectful of the room and contribute. I love a good dinner buddy. Like I want someone who's excited and going to think about what we're eating for dinner for the last hour and a half.
It's like finding the dinner place, right?
Oh yeah, like that whole adventure is pretty big. But it's also super important to me that people can be kind and approachable and rigorous with the crew. And like I am less technically based probably, and I like to bring in assistants who have that confidence, but also like are fun and going to laugh at my jokes, honestly.
Yeah. That's so important, confidence somehow. And tell you you're doing great work. No, that's not
always.
That's for the next assistant.
Number one.
Or tell me if it was better before,
Yeah, that's right. Stop here. Just update, move on. Robert, how about you?
So I run an internship program through Seattle Rep, our professional arts training program. So I get an apprentice every season. And that for me has become a real pipeline for assistants later on. Like they leave us, and then I know that I can call somebody if I need something drafted, if I need somebody to assist on a show, and I know exactly how they're going to act and behave in the room because I spent a year with them.
Yeah.
And so that's been huge, and the majority of my assistants come from that. But otherwise, I look for
how it's supposed to work. I think
exactly.
It's working.
Yeah.
Cool.
And before we do go, everybody answered, right?
Yeah. Yes. Okay. We're getting better.
I don't want to pull a Jeff. We got a lot of questions about college. Real quick, I just want to see. I know it's different in the music industry though, because having 29 of these episodes, people from the music industry, it's totally different than Broadway or theater. and a lot of people are kind of asking, is college necessary to be a lighting designer? And I would say that's like a super hard question to answer. Or it's not. Isabella, go.
Experience is necessary, and if college gets you experience, because a lot of colleges have programs that will get you experience, specifically in theater, there's so much more you can do there. But like, if you're doing concert design or something like that, like you mostly don't get that in college, because colleges aren't really specialized in those things. But
Okay.
I would think that you all did this in college, right? So
Yeah, but I don't know that I would, like, even though I went to a conservatory program, I don't know that I actually recommend conservatory programs. Like, my greatest fear is that we're all going to theater college and then we have nothing, we like don't know about other life, and we're making art about making art, and that's particularly boring to me. But so I would encourage people to like become full humans and then like get into theater. But I think there's like, it's cool that you can work and make a living when our industry exists, right? Huge caveat, but I think you can learn on the job in our industry, and if that is the way that you excel and like are down for that learning curve, like
yeah. None of us have been hired for our gigs because of our degrees.
That's true. That's very true.
Based, you know?
Yeah. But you might meet the person that's going to hire you for your
right. That's
where that degree. I mean.
And I do think, maybe this goes against what Isabella said. Like, I agree that you can learn on the job so you don't have to go to school, which then says to me, if you are going to go to a school for lighting, make sure you're going to be lighting stuff, because some schools have a grad program and the grad students will light everything, and you might light one show senior year. I was lighting stuff sophomore year. Like, find out how much hands-on stuff you're going to have, because you cannot learn to be a lighting designer sitting in a classroom, presenting a channel hookup and a concept statement. You have to be on stage doing it, screwing it up, and learning. Yeah. And so make sure you're actually going to be doing it while you're there.
Yeah.
And, sorry, go ahead, Robert.
I would say the one kind of potential advantage of being in the school program, both graduate and undergraduate, is it's like the one time where, for the most part, you can like make mistakes and it's okay, because there's not a lot of consequence. Like, once you're out in the industry, like, your mistakes are money. And you're costing somebody money. Where in school, like, you're paying to be there. So
great point.
Might as well experiment.
It depends what you want to do. I mean, I think the question came from someone who was going to design nightclub lighting, and maybe not. That's different. But if to work in theater, I will quickly say that what I went to school for 4 years for this, and what I got out of that was how to read a play. And it was more about the dramaturgy than it was about how to turn a light on, because I didn't really learn how to turn lights on in college. I learned how to read a play and talk to a director. And I think the theory behind that is important. You can pick it up without going to college, but that's what you get, I think.
And also, sadly, it's a very expensive, but it's a very expensive, like, social club. Like, the people that you meet in school will be the only people you know when you start. And so eventually that will branch out. But so if you don't have that group of directors and other choreographers and other designers that you know, you're going to be starting having an even smaller circle of friends.
Yeah. I think personally I subscribe to the fake it till you make it mentality. And now I'm like mortified at that statement. Like, I actually think that statement should be like removed from our practices and something else should be lifted up. But
except it worked for you.
But it worked for me. But like, could I have learned more if I hadn't been faking part of it? You know, like, I don't know. It's complicated.
I think people just say yes to everything and then figure it out before you have to show up and do it, which is kind of my thing. It's like, say yes, and then hang out the phone and call someone who knows how to do it and go, how do I light a nightclub or whatever, and then figure it out.
Well, yeah, that's right. I mean, you find out. You could probably find out on the internet these
days. I would call Erik first off. Eric, how do I light it? How do I light it?
I'd be like, let me call somebody.
I learned how to do plumbing on the internet. You could probably learn lighting.
Don't fake it till you make it. Just look it up on YouTube.
Unless if you're a rigger, definitely don't
fake it. Right.
There are some things you need to be taught how to do.
All right. Well, it's time for and everybody's going to answer really quick because we're coming up on an hour. Told you it was going to go fast. So it's time for the
Jeff's Roundtable Rapid Fire.
All righty. So here we go. All right. So this is how we're going to do it. Cory, you're up first. Make it
Cory, you're up first. Cory, best advice you were given by anyone?
Ken Billington always says two things. Number one, if you want to be a lighting designer, be a lighting designer. And say yes to everything. And those are what I do.
Erik.
Most people don't actually know.
Sorry, Erik.
What?
Let's go again. Sorry, Erik.
What?
Can you start over?
Okay. Yes. Most people, the best advice is that most people don't actually know what they're really doing.
That's great advice. Isabella.
Don't work for assholes.
Oh yeah. Robert.
Ideas aren't precious, and lighting is one of the easiest things we can change.
I like that.
Robert, staying with you. Something you wish you knew when you started your career.
Oh God, how much I drink.
Oh, Isabella.
Well, I already said it, but don't fake it till you make it. Controversial now.
Great. Erik.
I guess, red wine makes it harder to program lights, actually.
That's probably true, yeah. But bourbon. Cory.
Paul Tobin taught me you can use frost with lights with gobos, and it changed my life. It makes everything beautiful and looks the same, and I've never gone back.
You hear that, everyone? Cory, favorite tech table snack?
Okay, so Fresh Market, which is like my favorite grocery store, sells this thing, and they've got their roasted chicken salad, which is the best chicken salad in the world, with little Ritz crackers and cheese. And I will put one on their tech table and like make it last for 12 hours, and I love it.
For anyone who wants to assist Cory, there you go. Erik.
I guess ironically, red wine.
Yes. Isabella.
Now I want to talk to Erik about red wine. I would say cashews and oranges.
Robert.
Tiny oranges and peanut butter filled pretzels.
Oh God, you guys are making me hungry. Robert, an important skill needed to do what you do.
Listening. You gotta know how to listen.
Erik. Ooh, Isabella. My fault. Sorry. Isabella.
Adaptability.
Erik.
Patience.
Cory.
He took mine, but I had two, so I'll just say the second one, which is the ability to listen to every conversation that's happening in the room around you. As a designer, as an assistant, anyone at the table needs that skill.
So important. Staying with Cory. Cory, a piece of equipment missing from the current market. What would you invent or like to see invented?
Okay, I've been going on this forever, but like we love IQs and we've used IQs for a million years, but why are we still using IQs? It's insane. We're putting a mirror upside down on it. It's insane.
I love IQs.
I just want like a Mac Aura that's only white. It's like variable white. It's beautiful. It's soft. It does everything an IQ does. We don't have to hang like a 20-year-old piece of technology upside down from a catwalk. It's ridiculous.
I think Martin emailed me asking me if I thought it was
desperately
a good idea.
want a new IQ. We're still
so
putting
funny.
IQs on like Broadway shows. It's insane.
Erik.
I think more. I would like to better control atmosphere, haze, stuff like that. Like the ability to bring something in and pull it out very quickly, stuff like that. Like something that's not that's simple that does that. I guess I don't know.
Isabella. Yeah, sure. Isabella.
That sounds like wizardry. I want tiny, like easily controlled, tiny, bright LED diodes that are GBW. That I can, like, I constantly have tortured master electricians of like retrofitting a control for a tiny Chinese LED, and it's ridiculous. And we fry them, and we carry on.
Someone out there is listening, I hope. Robert.
I want like a little heads-up display, like Iron Man. Sometimes when I focus, I think that'd be nice.
That's a great idea. Also, like Google Glass, can't you like adapt?
Right. I was excited about it till it all went away.
All right, Robert, something that you wish rental shop had in inventory, specific or general?
With some shops, just more variety. Like sometimes it's, you only have one manufacturer sitting in there, and sometimes I need other stuff.
Yeah. Isabella.
Miro cubes, tiny LED things, but also IQs, which are not dead. Need little like bat wing diapers that that would like you could just easily attach, and then you don't spend 10 note sessions like retaping black wrap. Yeah, that.
Erik. It's so true.
I think like simple ground stacked automation stuff, like some simple ground stack. I want to move something that weighs 25 pounds simply, but nobody ever has that stuff.
Yeah, sure. Cory.
It's similar to Isabella, but because of LED technology now, everything has got so much smaller. And I love all the Ganton products and Roscoe cubes, but they're always perishables. And so you have to like buy a bunch of these things. And I wish like rental shops had a stock of these like tiny little LED things, and you could just get 10 of them and hide them all over the set. And it'd be great to be able to rent all that stuff.
Yeah, maybe someone should start a little shop for small things.
There you
A
go.
small lighting
Small
shop. Cory, do you see a place for incandescent fixtures in your work in the future? You're going all
Absolutely. I still do front light with incandescent. Even if I have almost a completely LED rig, the front light, the diagonal front light, I still love tungsten. Even the best LED Lecos, they're not there for me yet. So front light.
Erik.
So I think this is my approach to answering this is actually that I think that specifically in the touring industry, there's a big conversation that was starting to happen in 2019, and I think will be happening more so, which is the environmental impact of touring and the carbon footprint of it. And I think that would be the only reason, other than the fact that I love the look of tungsten and incandescent. But I do think that in a touring setting, if you have the opportunity to use something that's going to be much more energy efficient, then that's what.
Agreed. I will only add that we've lost our rapid fire, but we're going to keep going. Isabella.
Absolutely, but hopefully sparingly.
Yeah. Robert.
Yes.
Thank you. Robert, do you still reference gel book numbers when you use color mixing LED equipment?
Absolutely. That shit's still so stuck in my head. It's never going away. But I do also additionally have a whole separate numbering system for the most saturated versions colors.
Isabella.
Yes, I also like to rename colors, and then I like to fuck with them continuously.
Sure. Yeah, continuously. Erik.
What are gels?
Yes, exactly. That's my favorite answer so far. Cory.
Absolutely. I still talk in gel numbers to programmers, and then we mix from there. But I have them in my mind, and that's where I start with.
If only they look the same from one console and one fixture. Cory, where were you? Oh, sorry. Where do you want to travel first when things open up?
Well, my girlfriend and I were planning a trip to Paris, and I have a lot of points to go do that. So I'd like to go to Paris, and also I really miss seeing big ass movies in a movie theater. I want to go see Tenet in a giant movie theater and just be assaulted with the film, and I miss that.
Yeah, Erik, where do you want to go?
See family. Yeah, honestly, it's the hardest thing with kids is not being able to go see family that's far away. So yeah.
Isabella.
Yeah, visiting home family. I haven't seen them in a long time.
Robert.
I want to go to the Galapagos.
Cool. Yeah, Robert, where were you when you were told to shut everything down? What were you in the middle of doing?
I just opened a production at Portland Center Stage of The Curious Incident of the Dog in the Nighttime.
Cool. Isabella?
I just frozen a show for New York Theater Workshop and was getting ready to get on a plane to go to London.
Erik?
I was in LA doing meetings for Coachella. And then that night, a tornado ripped through Nashville and barely missed my house. So, yeah.
Well, I'm happy it missed your house, but I'm sorry for everyone else. Cory?
It was opening night and closing night of a new musical called A Wonderful World down in Miami.
Sorry about that. Well, we're officially done with the rapid fire, but we do have a couple more things we want to get to, but we're going to treat this the next few like we're still rapidly firing, and we're going to stick with Cory. Cory, a common sentiment from our guests through the time is that before COVID, they worked nonstop, often sacrificing personal lives, and that maybe they won't in the future. I'm sort of skeptical. But how do you see your work and personal life balancing once we go back? Will it change, or are you going to go back to the way it was when after we return?
I'm not necessarily skeptical for others, but probably I am for me. I think if I said it was going to change a lot, that would be a lie. I think I might be at a place in my career where I maybe can say no to a couple more things out of town, if it's not like a good paying gig or with good people. But I think generally, I really miss it, and I want to hit the ground running.
Yeah. Erik.
I think mine's less the amount of time, but more the nature of the work. Like, I'm actually really looking forward to be honest, not working necessarily for artists as much, but like getting to design experiences completely from new and bringing in all of the people we work with and letting us be the artists. I'm looking forward to that. And I hope that I have to go back too much to the other way. So, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Robert.
I want to see those 110-hour weeks go down to something like 60. That'd be nice.
This is me holding my breath on that. Yeah, sure. Isabella.
I think we have to insist that that happens in some capacity because theater is sort of anti-family right now, and that's a problem. But I think I'm going to prioritize making sure that there's proper travel cushion to like go to calmly and like join rehearsal and then start production, and make sure that applies to like buffer time around holidays. And I'm readying myself to sacrifice work for my colleagues, my BIPOC colleagues who need that work.
Yeah. That's amazing. And, for the time being coming back, we're all going to be sacrificing work because it's going to come back pretty slowly. So we'll be easing into it maybe, and then, ratcheting it up, hopefully a little bit. The 60 hour, the hours a week we can do, and maybe we will do a whole panel on how to get the same amount of work done in half the amount of time.
Don't we use the time we're given though? Isn't that like the complicated?
Yeah, it is. There are some lighting designers and sound designers who are dead set against shortening anything. The ones who say like, another common thing that people say is that last hour of tech, nothing actually gets done. But I've had like 3 lighting designers in the last week say to me that they do some of their best work between 11 and 12. I don't, but some do. I don't, so, there's an argument to be had either way. I would like to work fewer hours in a day personally, but we'll see. Work aside. Wait, did everyone answer that one?
Yep.
See, we're on a roll again. Okay, work aside, Isabella, what have you been up to during this pandemic? Have you started a new hobby or cooked anything spectacular? You haven't done?
Lots of cooking. I started this project where I've been time-lapsing the sky from my roof. So I have like hundreds of time-lapses of the same view of New York City, which you can see like the Freedom Tower, you can see downtown Brooklyn, and these are not moving objects, moving images that you're looking at, but I have, if you go to my Instagram, you can see a lot of them, and it's like I can now like read the sky. I can like sense when it's going to be good.
Nice.
So yeah.
That's cool. You should. Did you say? Sorry. Are you going to publish them someplace? Did you say that?
I'm trying to make a calendar. I mean, they are on Instagram. They're like I have an Instagram, the Sky at Bed-Stuy, that's doing it from Bed-Stuy. But I want to make like a calendar that sort of marks like phase 1 in New York City and like George Floyd was murdered. So you kind of have like time
to really see it, to really actually chart the progress. Really cool. Cory.
So I had taught myself Photoshop and Lightroom, which I didn't know. I have been cooking a ton and trying new dishes, making new things. I've been trying to be more waste conscious, which is the thing my girlfriend has started and we've been doing together. We've been composting, we've been picking up litter, trying to do more for our local community, which we're stuck in. I've been playing 2 different kinds of gin and loving it. Like an old person, I built a giant cardboard castle for my cat, which I destroyed yesterday, and he's very angry about it. We don't need to show that again. I don't know what that is. And I've binged more TV and movie shows than I ever thought possible because I love watching this stuff. So, and I've been running a lot, trying to keep those pandemic pounds down.
Cool. I've been drinking 2 different kinds of gin, so we have something in common.
Same.
Erik, how about you?
Okay, so, wow, 2 very nerdy things. Number one is, so I've been doing a lot of yard work, and my very good friend has actually very like super deep into bonsai. And so been prepping out all of the like bonsai in my yard that I'm building out the stands and all this stuff for them, and getting ready to dig up some new bonsai, which is exciting. And then I also started playing Dungeons and Dragons with some friends online every couple of weeks, and that has been really interesting. Yeah, so yeah.
Cool.
Nice.
Robert?
A lot of cooking. I started lighting some film stuff, like because randomly that was able to happen. Like I did a drag queen like music, or a drag queen like Christmas special, like Jinx and Pendula Creme's Christmas special, which we filmed like 3 months ago. Yeah, that's kind of what I've been doing.
Excellent. Okay, so one more question, quick answer, because I think we've hit on this already. But Robert, let's stick with you. What advice do you have for young people who want to do what you do?
Okay, so specifically for young BIPOC people, like it takes courage to like walk into a predominantly white space. and start telling people like what to do, which becomes our jobs as designers often. But like have that courage and like know that we're out here. Just come find us.
Cool. Yeah. Erik.
I think, especially if you're young people that's starting off, having a good attitude is so much more important than any of the credentials you might have coming into it. You will get hired on for your good attitude in the beginning more so than anything that you might have done.
Isabella.
Good one, Erik. I would say like staying curious and so like coming in with a personal perspective, but then being like ready to let it grow in conversation, because that's what collaboration is all about.
And Cory.
I would say that this is a social business and you have to be social, and you can't sit in your apartment and search for jobs online and expect to then have a Broadway career. You need to get out there. You need to meet people. You need to look people in the eye when you talk to them, be personable, go to dinner, have drinks, be a human of the world. You can't be shy. You can't be meek. You have to be gregarious and put yourself into the world. It's not going to come to you.
Very well said. All of you very well said. Thank you so much. We've come to the end of our time. Is there anything anyone would like to add or retract?
Retract.
Okay.
Vote. Keep voting. Yeah.
Keep voting. Yeah. Yeah.
Keep
all
voting.
around. Like local, big and little. Like Michael. Vote for everything you're allowed to vote for.
Also, I will say quickly, I've been thinking a lot about like what we do and does it matter and is it important, because a lot of what we do can feel like silly and just making lights blue or pink or whatever. But we have to remember that when everyone goes through all this shit that we're going through, at some point they need to go release somewhere and they need to have a cathartic experience. And when they're ready for that, we should be there ready to catch them and give them an experience where they can cry and laugh and be emotive and get all of this out of their system. And in that sense, I think what we do is really important.
That is what we do.
Well
said.
Yeah, thanks. We did. There was quite a few questions we didn't have time to get to. Don't log off when I say goodbye, panel. Just stay on for just 5 minutes, real quick. Thank you, everybody, for joining us again for our first episode of 2021. We will be back next weekend with the new panel. So. Thank you, Isabella, Robert, Erik, and Cory.
You guys are
we
great.
really appreciate it. This was a great conversation. And Jeff and I will see you again, everybody, next week. Bye, everyone.
Bye.